Welcome to the Luxine series. This series will have dead times, not so accurate post production, and a lot of backtracking. This series is meant to be a deep lore analysis and 100% completion of the game. Thanks for your attention. Lasciate ogni speranza o voi che entrate. Hey guys, welcome back to Dante's Hell. I'm Dante or Jack, and we are back again for another episode of Mortus Spatium. This time on episode 11. We were getting ready after killing our first mini-boss and meeting the biggest necromorph yet, the Brute. We were about to go around to reroute power for the ADS cannons. Let's read the missions first. The Ishimura's Asteroid Defense System, or ADS, is offline. Without those cannons, we won't survive the debris outside. I need to power and restart the ADS. And this is the main objective. And the sub-objectives are route power from mining administration. The mining administration systems aren't much use to us right now. I can reroute that power for the ADS cannons. We have the reroute from electrical systems. The Ishimura's power grid is unstable, but there should be enough juice to spare for the ADS cannons. And then there's the reroute from water purification. The Ishimura's water purification network is designed for a 1,000-person crew. There'll be power to spare for the DS cannons. Yeah, there sure will be because everyone is dead. Our first objective, rerouting power from the mining administrations. And we will start right from that. Now, in the last episode, we also discovered what happened to Captain Benjamin Mathias. We discovered he was killed by accident, it seems, by Dr. Kine. And then the officers followed Dr. Kine around. Here we are at electrical administration. And the first thing you notice is this writing on the wall. This writing actually says sacrifice is inevitable. Of course, it's the classical writing and symbols that we already saw in Dr. Kine's office and in the lower space of the main lab in medical deck where Nicole's and Dr. Kine's offices were. We shall save, because I remind you, like I almost every video do, we are at impossible, and if we die, we are doomed, because we will have to replay almost every bit of the game from absolute zero. Yep, that's it. As I said, they really like to put Isaac into the void of space. Now, when this happens, look outside, grab those credits, and grab that. A Rabe semiconductor. Very, very nice to sell. Lots of money, actually, if I remember. Because it gives us... Search the store for credits. Doesn't say, sadly. We got, actually, the Captain's Fate log in the last video. And that is what I was talking about. And this video will probably end in a lot of talking, because, as I said, I am preparing the arguments now. And I know.
Isaac, I'm reading electrical hazards on the floor ahead of you.
60-year-old deck plating doesn't play well with power surges.
Watch your step.
No, usually it doesn't. Anything that is 60 years old doesn't play nice with electrical surges. As I was saying, I know what we are going to meet and talk about because I decided to start planning the arguments. And the first one we have is actually about a new weapon. It is right there on the floor. The contact beam. Inventory is full? Oh, come on. You're joking. Okay, so reload this. And that didn't do anything. Great. Reload this. This? No? Okay. We are dropping something. No, we are actually using a healing item. And now we get the contact beam. Beautiful gun. Let's see what it says. Heavy duty energy projector. Normally called contact beam. It's a tool like everything else. Let's see if we can actually pick up the ammo for it. We can read that as well. Contact energy. Ammunition for the contact beam. These power cells run the contact beam's energy projector, but burn out quickly. Let's equip it so it shows us the controls. I don't think I'm going to use it. I'm not too much of a fan of the contact beam. But let's see. A heavy energy projector that launches a continuous lethal beam. Asteroid cutter charges and releases a single powerful laser blast. So they actually changed the fire from this gun. And as we always do, new gun means new information. This time, first of all, from the Dead Space Remake official site. And that tells us the contact beam. This beam uses targeted but incredibly powerful energy projections to quickly break down hard surfaces and expose valuable deposits. The beam can be charged to target larger areas. As always, the official site, as much as we love an official site for a game, is pretty scarce in information. But when we get to the wiki fandom, we actually get some more information. And that more information is the model of the contact beam. And that is the C99 Super Collider contact beam, also referred to as simply the contact beam, is a heavy engineering tool designed to pound and soften hard raw minerals into smaller pieces. Precious ores and minerals are sometimes contained within large, toughened rocks, which possess a problem to smaller mining equipment. That's where a C99 Super Collider contact beam comes in. It is designed specifically for splitting and obliterating tough materials and meteors for easy extraction of the ore within. This tool is immensely powerful and handy against tough enemies. However, the primary fire needs to be charged. We also get a little note that tells us that the contact beam is actually pretty useful against big necromorphs. It says that the kinetic discharge is very powerful to the point where most necromorphs can be killed in one shot, even prior to upgrades, if not charged. The contact beam acts as a simple, short-range weapon. The contact beam's secondary fire acts much like the pulse rifles. And while we tested it while I was reading, and we looked at that beautiful blue beam, that beam does continuous damage, but also consumes continuous ammunition. Meaning that, yes, it's good, but it is dangerous as well. because staying without ammunition is one of the last things you want to do. These platings got changed from the original game. Now they shock you and deal damage over time, while in the original they just shoot you upwards and you absolutely get destroyed when you hit the oh come on, I don't remember how to say roof. When you hit the roof, and poor Isaac just gets smashed to bits. Mining administration log. N. Thibauthaud. I suppose it's French. Trying to work out how fast they spread. The flight deck was the first to go. Probably thanks to that shuttle crash. Most of the medical is overrun and losing ground by the hour. Engineering can't be far behind. No word from cargo or communications. So not expecting anything but bad news when we do. Our best hope seems to be the mining deck. Dallas says the infrastructure down there is still running. But if they took out security that fast, how long can we hold out? They are clearly talking about trying to understand how fast necromorphs are actually invading the ship. And they are talking about a shuttle crash. And we know, because we read about Eckerd in the previous episode, that he and some survivors from the colony actually came to the Ishimura using his shuttle. And of course, that was kind of a spoiler of the game prequel that came out in 2010. It was a prequel for the original Dead Space. And it was supposed to be just a few hours before what happens here in Dead Space. So that shuttle crash is probably talking about Eckerd and the survivors reaching the Ishimura with his shuttle from the colony and bringing forth some corpse with already the infection beginning but not showing. So the corpse was in there, they crashed the shuttle into the Ishimura, and then they found themselves starting a infection on the Ishimura as well. Let's talk about power-ups, though. We are going full am on the plasma cutter, and what we want is damage over time to each shot. We have exactly 2 nodes to do exactly that. Of course, now we have all of these to power up. I still need to get the all upgraded full arsenal, or what is called, to having everything powered up to the max. And the thing that scares me the most at this point in impossible mode is not getting killed by necromorphs, because you saw we are pretty good at dealing with necromorphs. I'm getting the hang of talking while dealing with necromorphs as well at this point. And while I am getting good at killing necromorphs while talking, I'm not sure I can avoid ambiental surrounding problems. Like, can you please not just shoot me without saying anything? Like, shocks, jumping into space the wrong way. Why isn't my controller shooting or running? What is happening, please? Please answer my plea, the controller. What the hell are you doing? I can't keep dodging, you know? Shoot! Shoot, please! Okay, let's change gun, maybe. Yep, that works. That worked disgustingly. Why is my R2 gone? Is the R2 of my controller gone? Damn, it actually might be. Maybe if I plug it in, it will work. A second. It's now plugged in. Doesn't seem like he feels like it. 1 second. So the fire button now works, but we are sadly unable to run. I don't know what is happening. I'm just... Come on, man. You can't just leave me like this. I mean, I can get another one, but my god. Why every time? We had this happen another... And it's not stomping again. And now, yes. What did I do? No, please, tell me that. Okay. Sure. Go on with it, Isaac. Just stomp what you want. So, circuit breaker. Let's reroute power for the ADS cannons. And then I'll just concern myself with why my controller is absolutely dead. Meanwhile, let's prepare some stew. Shall we? Yep. Did I ever tell you that the Reaper is my favorite gun? No, because it is. Okay, I can't run. And I ate that. Okay, no life. Controller's giving in. I think I'll have to change it now. Yep. We can't play like this. I'm changing it. There we go. Now we have absolute control over our dying. And we are not going to die because of the controller going absolutely stupid. I think. We are mostly dead at the moment. Thanks to the controller. But we can say that maybe it was luck. Come on. We're just in the yellow. We can survive that. Can we? Oh my god. I just got jump scared by a moving desk. And you all will notice that the writing on the glass has disappeared. I noticed this yesterday. And I starting to think some of the writing that we see, is it written there? Or is Isaac seeing it there? Because there's quite the difference. Maybe those hallucinations are starting to affect us as well. We are on the ship where the hallucinations and everything else started. Nothing telling us that it cannot happen to us as well, is it? Okay, where are you? Please don't do it. Please don't do it. I'm basically dead. That's what we needed. There's another one. Leapers are not what we want right now. What we want is to go and buy ourselves some supplies. Because otherwise we are most probably dead. Stop whispering. Super Symmetry Tether. The upgrade for the beam, I suppose. Let's sell some of this stuff. Good. Let's sell one of these as well. And then let's buy ourselves some med kits. Maybe one or two of these. And then let's go and buy ourselves 36 plasma ammunition. Now we are ready to go ahead with our mission and reach floor 3, and that is electrical. I'm sorry for the technical issues with the controller. Stuff happens sometimes, it seems, and we were unlucky enough to have it happen right on this episode. Of course, as I was telling you, we will probably stop. My god, every time I'm on the wrong side of the door as well. At the end of the episode, we will probably find ourselves in not too much of a comfort zone. We will read a lot, unless we get ourselves in the situation in which we don't get where we shall before the episode ends, but we probably will. So this is the room where the episode will probably end, the break room. And while I would love to get in here, and I will show you how to get in here, you just go around. There's a broken glass here, okay? Take that, take that. You shoot, and the door's now open. You can just get in, and while most of the lockers require level 3 clearance, we can get ourselves credits, always good, and a weapon upgrade, the pulse rifle upgrade. Seems like a ammo upgrade. PCSI custom magazine. So a magazine expansion, one could suppose, and it probably is a magazine expansion for our pulse rifle that we will probably not use anymore. Can I have some stasis? Seems like a no. Here are the platings that, as you can see, are now shockingly more effective against necromorphs, especially tougher ones. And being as it is that the necromorphs are a lot harder to kill, these are pretty useful to us. If I had stasis, I could stop one of these necromorphs on them, and we can just watch as they fulgurate themselves, because one of the best things to do with a necromorph is burn them. And while I would like to have the means to burn all of them, because the flamethrower without a damage upgrade is pretty much a bit useless, let's say. The technique here is, even if Isaac is scared, just don't mind his idiocy. Wait for this to stop, get in the middle, and then wait for the other one to stop, and you are good. No need to use stasis on those. And we are... Can you... Don't. Thank you. Where's the other one? Absolutely lovely. Secret credits between this little cube of panels. And finally we can recharge our stasis. Actually, it's not too good, because that would mean that there's one of these around. Let's go around him. Legs first. Unneeded for the tough man. Leg goes out. He's protecting himself. As I told you, the brute tends to defend himself, shielding with this hard shell he has around himself. And actually, now we will get another log that is for rerouting power from here in electrical. And by doing that, we sadly will not have another log. In this section of the game, you can get, out of 3 logs there are, only 2.
Okay, I'm seeing a power reroute from the electrical systems.
Just watch the outlets. The grid's unstable.
That's 2. One more system and we'll have power for the ADS.
Route power from electrical system. Cleared. As I was saying, we got the second log we can get in this section of the game. And the third is actually on the last rerouting control panel. But we won't get that, because to get that, you actually need to play a New Game Plus. Luckily, I already got that in a New Game Plus run, and so we will not miss it. And as soon as we are where it should be heard, we will listen to it. And that corpse just popped in from absolute nowhere. Charge the flamethrower, because that missing is just not good. Kendra should call right around now.
Isaac, I cracked the Ishimura's MedSci reports. They're a fucking horror show. These things mold any dead tissue into a new form. One
We know.
kind infects corpses, and the rest...
Make more corpses to infect.
And we know that as well.
On the walls. That's dead tissue too. The crew thought it was a habitat changer. Isaac, I'm gonna run some diagnostics. I think that stuff's spreading.
And we talked about the mold on the wall called corruption, that is the most basic form of basic symptom, of a necromorph infection starting. Because what it does, it's aid the necromorphs, just impairing all other living beings. And now Kendra calls it a habitat changer. And we talked about that as well, because the corruption changes hair around itself, making it some sort of killing venom that stops and enables all living things, except it is breathable for necromorphs and makes it easier for them to prosper. It actually also is needed to provide more organic tissue. The fact that necromorphs have 2 kind of jobs, and that is make corpses and infect corpses, we talked about when we met the infector, because the infector is the one that finds corpses and infects them, and the slashers, lurkers, leapers, and brutes, and other necromorph forms, the pregnants, the swarms, they kill preys and then leave them for the infectors to go and spread the necromorph infection. So Kendra, the only thing extra she told us is the corruption on the wall is organic tissue, we knew, but she told us, hey, it is corrupting the air. Yes, it is a habitat changer made to create environments for the necromorphs. Now we get into the break room, where the episode will probably end. And there he is.
What's that? A recording? Huh. Must be the marker they dug up.
So it is the same. That marker. That's the symbol of the Church of Unitology.
Didn't take you for a believer, Isaac.
My mother was. But if they found this on some alien planet, what does that mean?
That Unitology's onto something?
Unitology's full of shit. Forget it.
Finally, we see a marker. The obelisk shape that we saw on the wall in Kane's office on his papers. One he was handed by Captain Matthews in a smaller form, probably for religious belief, a reminder of the shape of this artifact. This is the first time we see the marker not in person, but from a screen. And this, as much as it looks, it is kinda satanic in its form. We have a text log as well in this room. Unitology. United, we ascend. Is Unitology a new op or just another scam? By Carrie Van Otken. If you've been living on Mars for the past 200 years, you might have missed the fastest growing religious movement in history. Unitology boasts a following of millions, counts powerful CEOs and officials in its ranks, claims 78 billion of stock in multi-global companies, and owns two of the Earth's largest financial institutions, GPSG Financial and Unitas Energy Investments. From its beginnings as a cult of personality, Unitology has become a respected, established religion. Most people know the basics. 200 years ago, Michael Altman, as respected geophysicist, blew the whistle on what he claimed to be the biggest cover-up ever instituted by Earth government. The discovery of an artifact or marker which proved beyond any doubt there is alien life in the universe. The government labeled Altman a kook, but his claims struck a chord with some, and his mysterious death soon afterwards fueled that interest, along with civil unrest and demands for action. Unitologists believe the marker contained a code, the key to eternal life, through rebirth and ascension to heaven. The kicker is, you have to die first. They say the government is hiding the marker somewhere, keeping its secrets for themselves. Across all of human space, Unitologists praise Altman's martyrdom and await the day God comes to take them to their new life beyond death. It all sounds pretty harmless, but like any cult, there's a dark side. Before we keep up with this absolute deep article that we will now just bone, and we will eat the bone as well. Let's get back to most people know the basics. Michael Altman. We heard the name many more times already, like 3 or 4. But what is the article talking about? What I will do now is take out a piece of paper with a single piece of information that I gathered from the fandom and some other sources that I will now use to completely analyze this article and go deeper into the Unitology. Here he talks about Michael Altman. And Altman was the scientist, a geophysicist in the remake and expanded novel version of Dead Space. Because yes, there are books, I already talked about this. In the books, Altman is a geophysicist, while in the original 08 Dead Space, I think he was an anthropologist, I think he was called. But anyway, he went to discover the black marker. The first marker that wasn't on an alien planet. It was actually on Earth. So, when did this happen? Here it says 200 years ago. To give a date, this happens in 2214. In the 22nd century, maybe? Altman and his team discovered the black marker, and after the dementia and dangers, you know, the usual stuff started to happen, and the necromorph, let's say the dementia, the killing, the suicide started affecting his team, Altman decided to destroy the research and the marker and then blow everything up, because the book Dead Space Martyr is what we need to address. Now, Dead Space Martyr talks about what happened the first time a marker was found, and it talks about the black marker. Now, the black marker is the marker that was found on Earth by Altman. In 2214, they went to the Gulf of Mexico, and in the crater where the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs was supposedly has fallen, they discovered that there was a lake, and in the depths of this lake, after Altman and his crew started having some nightmares and recurring visions, they discovered the marker that was underwater with a piece of strange tissue. After discovering this, Altman decided that it was a good idea to go and discover everything with Earth government, but Earth government decided that it needed to be studied. So they put Altman, that wasn't really willing to do it, to research it with a team. While he was researching the black marker, the marker started doing its thing. We know it brings dementia and other problems, suicidal thoughts, killing, murder, and everything else. So his theme didn't last too long, and a mad scientist of his team actually decided to take the tissue that was most probably necromorphic tissue that they found with the black marker and inject himself with it, starting the first Earth known, or human known, let's say, necromorph infection. After that, the marker started the necromorph infection. Altman survived thanks to the help of some other survivors that sadly all got killed, and afterwards he tried to calm the marker down to stop the spreading of what the marker uses, and that is a strange signal. To stop this signal, Altman decided to create a copy of the marker so that the two signals will cancel out. After he has done that, he didn't know how he did that actually. He created a copy of this marker that he never knew even how to understand, because a lot of people don't understand and still won't understand. Even in the original trilogy, in the third game, they still don't know what the marker does. So he creates this copy from scratch, not knowing how he did it. He creates these schematics to create it, and then he finally calms down the marker by destroying the entire facility and trying to go and tell the government what happened. What happens after Altman destroys the facility and the black marker is that Earth government had two officials called Craig Markov and Stevens supervising Altman's team and research. And what Altman did, and that is trying to blow the whistle, as the article says, on what happened at the facility, wasn't sitting well with these two officers that decided to take Altman and close him in a room with a spoon and a big necromorph. And that is how Altman is killed. But why is Altman considered a prophet of the marker? That is because the marker actually did not have effect on Altman. Altman was unaffected by the dementia, the suicidal thoughts, and murderous intent. He just knew it was dangerous to stay around there. He had some visions and hallucinations, but not at the level that he was going insane. So, the people affected by this dementia started to call him a prophet of this black marker. The foundation on which the Unitologist church is made is a lie, because Altman got killed and did not die because of what Unitologists think. Unitology was founded in 2215 from not Altman, sadly. Even if Unitology says it is founded by Altman, it was not. It is founded by Craig Markov and Stevens, the two officers of Earth government that talked about Altman's death as a martyr's death, like Jesus on the cross, but it was lies. Altman wasn't a prophet of the marker because he never actually understood the marker completely himself. So they used them, these two officers, to create this baseless religion And some of the sources hypothesize, and I am pretty in sync with this hypothesis, that the marker actually made these two officers use Altman to found this religion. Okay? That isn't exactly a nice religion. But let's talk about the points of Unitologists. The basis of the religion is the study and veneration of the marker, with poor Altman being an unwilling prophet. Symbolism in the church, as you can see on the screen, it has a marker and an eye. That is because the symbol are fundamentally inspired by the obelisk shape of the marker. So publicity, imagery, decorations all resemble this obelisk with touching tips. Okay? One of the main messages of the church, okay, is this positivity message of social harmony and environmental concerns, because they also don't like the fact that Earth government use planet cracking to make money and resources, and talks about how planets gets destroyed with planet cracking and everything. Even though we know that a lot of Unitologists are on the Ishimura, and the Ishimura is a planet cracker, we even know that Eckert, a high-ranking CEC member, was a Unitologist. But how do they do that? Unitology, as the article says, spreaded really fast because of the lie that Altman was killed by Earth government, and that brought about the rage of people. It also gives a really influential message, and that is a talk about salvation of the soul and the spirit, a thing that with constant technological evolution, especially in the far future of Dead Space, where they have ships, they go in space, they have things that tell their health whenever you look at their backs. Talking about religion, spiritual safety, and things like this is pretty influential, especially if people started to believe more in technology than in religion. The theology, though, is based on a debate around the black marker that has a lot of secrets that even Unitology scholars cannot decipher fully. The biggest source of Unitology's scholarly material is on Titan Station, or the Sprawl, where the annual Unitology Symposium, a reunion where they discuss the marker with the top brainiacs, is held. Unitology also believes in God that isn't God. They believe that humanity was created by a alien agency or superior being and intelligence that will reunite humanity with convergence. But what is convergence? Convergence brings us to the eschatological, aspect of the beliefs in Unitology, because Unitology is an eschatological religion. What is eschatology? Eschatology basically is that belief that sometime the world will end and that God will be the one that saves our souls. That is eschatology in Christianity. But for the Unitologists, they have a strong concept of this end of days, and they believe is very similar to classic religions. So the world ends, everyone dies, and living and dead will be completely wiped out. That is classical religion. Unitologists, though, while they are talking about the death of all living things and the destruction of everything that is known, they also talk about this convergence event. What is a convergence event? The convergence event is believed to bring all the faithful Unitologist souls and bodies into a single united form that does not represent God's oneness, While God is a one powerful being, strong to destroy everything and create everything, they believe that they will be reunited to be something unique. That is why Unitology, as his name, they have this fixation on uniting. Okay? This talk of unison is based on the convergence event. Their obsession for unity is also pretty much inspired by the two tips of the marker that, as you can see from the image behind and the image on the Unitology writing on the log, are two tips that almost connect but don't actually intertwine in any way. And that is why it's called Unitology. The convergence event, we need to talk some more. What actually is a convergence event? A convergence event is triggered by the marker. The marker usually creates a convergence event when it decides that there's enough necromorphs and biomass, everything alive that is biological, to start this convergence event. We saw a convergence event in the original trilogy's Dead Space 3, when everything started to float upwards. And we saw it in Dead Space 2 as well. Now, while I could go to Dead Space 3 and tell you what a convergence event brings forth, I will leave that to the side and talk about how every necromorph that was venerating the marker in Titan Station in Dead Space 2 from the original trilogy started to fly upwards. And that was the beginning of a convergence event. So we saw a convergence event start in one of the games. And we also assisted to a convergence event starting and completing itself. But that is in Dead Space 3. Unitology also has some strange brainwashing systems, because we know that, and we heard as well, that the believers are pretty strongly fixated on their faith, and they call the non-believers or non-unitologists infidels, like they are actually going against God. Unitologists are ranked in the church. Nobody ever talks about it, as most of its critics believe there are at least 3 ranks above the average believer or initiate. With each new rank, more of the church's inner workings and research is revealed to a follower. And these ranks are achieved by one simple criteria: giving money and power to the church. Think taking all your money is bad? The church also requires the members to donate their bodies after death. That is what Isaac's mother did. She decided to donate, okay, his and her husband's corpse to the church. And we actually get a log in New Game Plus that talks about her testament. It is actually the log of her will. Here it is. This is straight from the New Game Plus. I, Octavia Clark, of sound mind and in the sight of Altman our prophet, will herein document my final wishes, namely, 1. I hereby bequeath all my financial assets, intellectual property, and physical properties to the Church of Unitology, immediately and in perpetuity upon the event of my death. 2. I hereby request that upon my death, my physical vessel will become the sole property of the Church of Unitology, to be ushered to convergence in accordance with my religious beliefs. 3. I hereby order that any previous will and testament in my name be considered null and void in perpetuity. I hereby declare that any attempt to countermand these directives will be considered a direct violation of my religious beliefs, as stated in front of witnesses, and therefore in violation of my civil and human rights. Signed, Octavia B. Clark, Sanctified Pilgrim, Church of Unitology. The witnesses, we the undersigned declare that our sister in faith, Octavia Clark, has composed this document congently and of her own free will, and we hereby witness her final wishes. RMK, Church of Unitology, JAD, Church of Unitology, and AJ, Church of Unitology. And that was Isaac Mum's will. But why do they want the corpses? What did they do with them? Nobody will say, and attempts to infiltrate the inner circle have failed, with their emphasis on transformation and rebirth. With the convergence event, that is basically the transformation of dead corpses into necromorphs, because they know at this point that what they are talking about with transformation and rebirth is necromorphs, especially the ones we meet on the Ishimura. They are talking about divine happenings on the colony. They believe that this transformation, the necromorphs, are the rebirth of some godly being, alien being. Maybe we wouldn't like the answer even if they told us. And we don't actually like the answer. One rumor that also refuses to die says the church is funding a secret shipbuilding program. Some claim to have seen the fleet. No documentary evidence has been supplied, but the claimants all say these mausoleum ships, despite their huge size, we don't know the rest. Unitologists are actually the main villains almost, especially in Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. Okay? Because while in the first, we still need to meet our main antagonist of the situation. In the third, Danik is the one that has the most power in Unitology at that juncture. And he is completely mad. Unitologists actually start to blow themselves up to make the marker happy. And while we could stop here, there's another piece we need to get from this room, that is about this circle. As you can see, there are hands and feet on this circle, and that is because this room is where you can input some secret codes that you get from around the ship. The first one is actually here, and if you go clockwise, so starting from the and, 3 stomps, and stomp, and 3 stomps, and stomp, if you do those with Isaac's melee and stomps, you actually get some secret logs. Now we will try to accomplish it. And there we go. That was it. We get another text log. Let's see what it tells us. Unknown. Dead, they ascend to the stars. Blessed are the watchers who guard their sleep. May the holy fleet endure beyond the reach of our enemies. May the brethren make them whole. For our fleet and its sacred cargo, glory everlasting. For those who disturb their stasis, blessed death will be denied them. Praised be the markers, and Altman, the eternal prophet. This is a confirmation, basically, of the ships of the fleet of Unitology that we just read about in the Unitology article right here. It ends talking about these mausoleum ships that have been built to reach the number of a fleet. And now we know there's actually a fleet. This is most probably a Unitology's secret log. Now there is another secret log here, and to get the code for that you need the side mission of the maximum security clearance. So every time you get when you get that maximum security clearance, there will be the rooms around, and in those rooms there's these symbols. So there's a marker, and there's then a hand or foot around the foot, and between showing you where they are, because they are all around the ship, I will just tell you the code right now. So To get that, we need hand, stomp, hand, hand, stomp, hand, stomp, forehand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and a stomp. Again. I'll see you when I manage. Finally, we got the other code through. And the last code we will actually perform right now, even though you can find it in chapter 10 in the captain's room, and that is melee, melee, stomp, melee, melee, stomp, stomp, melee, 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 stomp, stomp. And that gives us 2 nodes. Now, Elgads, we went a lot beyond the 40-minute mark. But this time around, it was for a good reason. Sorry for the problems with the controller, and to excuse myself, here you have another log that is a secret and can only be obtained finding all the pieces of that code around the Ishimura with the Master Security Override Protocol. As always, I will see you all again quando torneremo a guardare le stelle. Enjoy.
There once was a ship from the sea, the Ishimura USG. She cracked a boom with gravity. Go me bully boys, go! Ha! Soon may the Italian come to save our souls and take us home. One day when the fixing is done, we'll take our leave and go. 3 years she served her tour, 30 planets cracked and poor. The captain called no fly and swore he'd take that marker in tow. Ha! Soon may the Callian come to save our souls and take us home. One day when the fixing is done, we'll take our leave and go. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. Before the ship could set on home, tragedy struck and the colonies are gone. The old red marker done them wrong and brought the miners low. Ha! Soon may the Callian come to save our souls and take us home. One day when the fixing is done, we'll take our leave and go. The ghouls aboard a mystery spoke of Unitology. The captain swore he'd keep his creed and drag his crew down so. Ha! Soon may the Callian come